Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and iHeartRadio. Let me get into, I don't even consider this politics, but in an essence it is because of what's going on in regards to the president's son, Hunter Biden, please. Earlier, Tuesday morning, President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was found guilty of 3 felony counts tied to a handgun purchase he made in 2018 while using narcotics. The trial is the first involving the offspring of a sitting president. The charges, which include lying on a federal screening form about drug use, lying to a gun dealer, and possessing the gun, could carry a maximum sentence of 25 years in prison. Now, that sentence is unlikely as Hunter Biden is a first-time non-violent offender. As for President Biden, who's running for re-election, he's been candid about his son's struggles with addiction, of course. Earlier, he told ABC News he would not interfere in his son's federal trial if convicted, and he would not offer him a pardon. Hunter Biden still faces a federal trial in September for allegedly avoiding taxes in California. By the way, Hunter could have resolved both the gun and tax charges without prison time, but a plea deal with his attorneys fell apart last summer. See, certain things need to be said. So I'm going to say it, okay? I'm totally with President Biden in saying I'm not going to pardon my son if my son had all his faculties in order, wasn't inebriated, didn't have an addiction issue or anything like that. Okay? Then you just a slime ball and I'm not pardoning you at all. But if my son was an addict and a recovering addict and prone to, dare I say, questionable decisions because of his addiction, if I'm the president, I got to admit, y'all, I'm going to pardon him. I'm going to pardon him under that. First-time nonviolent offender. See, that's the bullshit of politics. Because you saying that if you Joe Biden because that's politically expedient. Nah, I'm not apologizing for supporting my son who's got an addiction. Now, again, you don't have an addiction and you're just a lawless individual, then my compassion for you is going to dissipate dramatically. But if you have an addiction, which he clearly had, compassion is order for the day to me. I don't think the president should be saying that. It ain't like he going to lose votes because of it. Independents or hard leftists or progressives ain't going to vote against Joe Biden because of something like that. Remember when I came to the defense of Chris Cuomo with the whole thing with his brother? I was like this. That's his brother. Your brother says he's innocent. You believe him. You support your brother. You got to apologize for that. That was my thinking. You understand? So, I think like that. You got a child. Your child is an addict. It's cocaine, crack, alcohol. Damn. They might tease him. You might have people on the right going off about Hunter Biden, right? But they always showed him being a bit inebriated, whether it's drugs or alcohol. So clearly he was not in his right state of mind. I think that calls for compassion. Last time I checked, I thought that's what this world was about. Didn't we say compassion? Don't we talk about that all the time? Don't we talk about second chances? That's where I'm coming from. So if he was an addict and the president was open about his son's problems with addiction, I think that calls for a little compassion on the part of the president when it comes to his son. That's what I think. Having said that, are we really surprised at what happened? Do y'all know that Hunter Biden's conviction, do y'all know that didn't really take place yesterday? They didn't tell y'all? Oh, this is a couple weeks ago. That brother was convicted before this. He didn't get convicted Tuesday morning. He got convicted the day Donald Trump got convicted. The day that happened. They like, oh, we're going to get his ass. You can't argue that it's politicized on one side, but then think it ain't going to be politicized on the other side? Why do you think the Republicans came out and they applauded the justice system? They weren't applauding it a couple of weeks ago. They were saying it was rigged. So now that Hunter Biden got his, okay, fairness. Because it's all being politicized at this moment in time. Just like they found a way to parlay that into trying to convince folks that this might affect votes for Trump, they're going to find a way to do it as it pertains to how it might affect votes for Biden. By the way, 3 weeks or less than 3 weeks before a debate between him and Trump is scheduled to take place. About 3 weeks and 2 days from now. They ain't fooling nobody. This is what it is. Here's the bad part. Politicization of the justice system is scary. Because now we're not talking about what's right and wrong, what's fair and just. We're talking about which side has the power to flex and manipulate its muscle to invoke the kind of pain, the kind of punitive damage they may be inclined to implement. That's what we're talking about here. When our system gets to that point, if the politician's in trouble, what kind of trouble you think the rest of us are in? Think about it. Calls can be made. Minds can be manipulated and influenced. Initially, according to reports, the jury was split 50-50 on convicting Hunter Biden. Day one. Day two, they came back 11-1 in favor of a conviction. Remember, jury of your peers, it must be unanimous to convict. It took them, 3 days to get to a conviction? We don't know what happened. I'm not here to tell you I know. What I'm saying to you is that one of the first thoughts that came to my mind right on this show, when Trump was convicted on those 34 felony counts, all Class E felonies, which essentially are a tad bit more than a misdemeanor that people believe will not equate into jail time. The second that happened, I said, there's no way Hunter Biden could get off. Because if Hunter Biden gets off after Trump is convicted, it will be nothing but chaos, because it would be further evidence that in folks' minds that the system is rigged. You almost had to convict Hunter Biden the minute Trump was convicted. I'm not telling you I got any inside information or anything like that. I'm just talking to you about an average citizen looking out there and seeing what I saw. Who didn't know that was coming? Who didn't know that was coming? Here's the last thing that's coming. How much you want to make a bet that President Biden changes his mind and does pardon Hunter Biden, while also this happening? That judge in July, he ain't going to give Trump any jail time. Trump is the presumptive GOP nominee who will be the official GOP nominee 4 days later after the supposed July 11th court hearing, sentencing hearing. He's going to be the GOP nominee. He ain't going to jail, in my opinion. He's not going to jail. And if he ain't going to jail, Hunter Biden ain't going to jail. Nobody goes to jail, but taxpayer dollars are paid on all of this. And it's supposed to be a felony, and this is supposed to be a felony, and the gun charges, and wild on narcotics, and all of this other stuff. Anybody going to jail? The suckers are us. The suckers are us.